Howdy friends, welcome back to Make and Play, and this week we are going into the great beyond, space, the final frontier. And we are going to be creating a space diorama. Yesterday we made the cool rocket ship, and today we're going to be creating the backdrop of our diorama. So I have this awesome box from CC Creations. Thank you, CC Creations. We appreciate you. And I've cut it open, okay? I've cut one side of the box completely off of this so that we can have it where you can look inside and play inside that diorama. If you are not making one this big, use like a shoebox turned on its side, okay? If you made your rocket ship out of a paper towel roll, then that's gonna fit in there really well, a toilet paper roll. But I'm working big because that's what I do. So you're gonna open it up, have somebody help you cut the sides off if you're using a big box. And then you're gonna measure. You're gonna go ahead and measure each part of this. So I would sit here and I would 21 inches by, I think it's 16 3/4. And I would go ahead and cut my paper to be the right size. So all that's taken care of, okay? You don't wanna be messing with that. So I made a piece that's this size, and then two this size, and then I made one for the floor and the ceiling, okay? So when you get done, you're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of paper, all right? That we're gonna use for the great beyond. I'm gonna move this out of my way. And let CC Creations sit right here next to me while I work. All right. So today we're going to be working in a different medium than we've used before. We use that word medium. That means what kind of art product we're using. And today our art product that we are using is acrylic paint. And I already have my acrylic paint out and ready to go. I'm using an egg container so that I don't waste even a paper plate, because you can't even recycle these things. So I figured the best I can do is reuse them. So ask somebody in your house what you can use to put your paints on to create your paint palette, because you could use the back of a cereal box. You can use all sorts of things. There's paint on my ruler. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to mix up some colors that I'm gonna use for my stars, all right? I've got a handy dandy palette knife here. I'm gonna mix a little bit of purple into some white. When you're mixing paints, you always mix the dark color into the light color, always. You don't wanna go into the dark. It is scary in there, okay? Like one of the scary movies where you're like, don't go in there. No, it's just that if you mix the light into the dark, it will take you so much more paint to get the color you want. And when you're mixing paints, you also never wanna squirt the paint directly in the color that you're trying to mix it with, because you can't control what you're making, okay? You always put the dark color into the light color, and you always take control of that. You don't want to squeeze it directly in there from the tube. And I'm not even using all of that white. I'm just using a little bit, because what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be watering it down. I'm going to use a toothbrush. Let's see. This is where we're going. This is where we're headed, to space, all right? We're headed to space here. And we're gonna use a spattering technique with, see that? With a toothbrush. Make sure wherever you're working that it's a good place to work. Cover it with newspaper. If you need to, you can put your box up to where it keeps the spatter from going anywhere, or just go outside on the patio or on the driveway or on the grass, all right? Ask whoever's running things at your house where you need to go. Okay, I'm gonna start with just some white. I put a little bit of white on the end of this toothbrush. Don't use your sister's toothbrush. Don't use your brother's or anybody in your house. It needs to be a toothbrush that's not gonna be put in a mouth again, okay? That would not be cool. So I'm watering down my paint with some water. Just a little bit of water into the paint. I'm thinning it out so it'll be easy to spatter with, okay? I can try it out. Now some of these, if I do it like this, I'm getting some bigger stars. If I do it like this, wherever you point it's where it's gonna go, so don't do it like this or I'm shooting you, okay? Can you see these little dots? They're little bitty spatters, okay? So I can choose like what I'm gonna do. Am I gonna have big ones? This looks like I've got some sort of like celestial grouping right here. It's a big word, celestial. I'm gonna use some purple now, almost like the Northern Lights. I'm gonna add some other colors because it's mine and I can. Let's start with some bigger pieces. Some of these are gonna look like small planets. And then I'm gonna spatter some more. I want a very interesting sky. I'm gonna make it look like there's this Milky Way looking line going through here, where it gets really, really more dense with the little tiny spatters. Now, if you go out where there's no light and you're out in the country, you can see those like bands in the sky. It's so cool. That's what I'm gonna do here. Now I'm gonna get a different color. I'm gonna make some pink. So I've dipped my toothbrush in the red and now I'm going into the white. Remember, we always mix the dark into the light. It does not take much paint. I've got too much paint out. I've over poured. I hate wasting art products. All right, so, and because you can't keep acrylic paints, they just don't keep once you pour them out. You can get them back in the bottle, it's fine, but once you pour them out, they just don't work so well. Okay, so I'm gonna start with some big stuff, and then I'm gonna go to the smaller spatter. I need a little bit more water. You'll get the hang of it, of what the consistency is. Viscosity, that's a word that means like how liquid something is, how it flows. It's a big word to use. It's impressive. You'll just get the hang of it. And I'm just gonna put lots of little spatter parts. Oh my goodness, it's so much fun to do this. You can make really cool art journal pages by doing this. You can make really cool stationery or cards. This is a really great time to be making cards and homemade cards and sending them to people. Really great time for that. My daughter's been making earrings and bracelets and sending them to all of her friends. It's a lot of fun. Nice little surprise when you get something like that in the mail. So see how cool that is? I think it'd be fun to add green. You know what, I'm gonna add green. Let me grab, excuse me. I'm gonna grab some green. My art cart. You guys are sitting on my art cart where I have all my supplies. So I'm gonna put a little touch of green. I did not use green the last time I did this when I was practicing. I practice before you guys come, believe it or not. This is not, I actually practice. Maybe I shouldn't admit that. I'm gonna mix it with a little bit of white because when I mix these colors with white, it makes the paint more opaque, meaning not transparent. Because some of these paints on their own, some of these colors on their own can be quite transparent, meaning you can see through it. So I want them to be opaque, meaning you can't see through it. Solid. I'm gonna put the green down here. Now, if you put too many of these colors on top of each other while they're wet, you could turn brown, okay? Your piece could turn brown. So you have to be thoughtful, you have to be mindful of layering your colors. If you go across the color wheel, that means your complementary color, like this pink and green, if they mix, it's gonna make a poopy brown, which is okay if you're looking for a poopy brown, but if you're not, you don't wanna do that. So anytime you mix complementary colors, that's gonna happen. And remember, complementary colors are across the color wheel. Oh, I am loving this sky so much. This week, every day at 3 o'clock, this will air on Facebook like we've been doing, but then we're also immediately putting them on YouTube. So you can go to Purple Turtle Art Studio on YouTube. You can follow what I'm doing and subscribe and see all the cool art activities. And also remember that if you like what you see, you're always able to send me a little virtual tip on Venmo. Okay, so I would do this on all of my papers. Look how fun that is. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. And now I have a green thumb, which is even better. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take all these papers. You're gonna let these papers dry, dry, dry. Don't mess up your artwork by trying to work with wet stuff. Before I move on, I'm gonna show you one more thing that I forgot about. You can take these globs here and you can make them into comets. You can give them tails. See that? You can use the end of a paintbrush, the hard end of a paintbrush. I'm using a palette knife. You could use a toothpick, the tip of a pencil. You can also make them look like they're bursting. Okay, so you can drag these paints out some. Maybe this one has maybe this is a planet that has a ring around it. All right, so just have fun with that. You can go back in and you can manipulate these big drops with just something that's pointed. All right, now I'm gonna show you how we're gonna take our awesome CC Creations box. Thank you, CC Creations. And create our background. I have already glued some of this in, so it will be ready to go. So each one of these has a different piece of paper. This one is going to go right here. And I've also made, this is the roof and the bottom part. So we're gonna have all these pieces that are gonna go together and create our background, okay? Let's see. So I went ahead and I've glued these in, these 3 panels in, and now the rest of it, I have to put this together before I glue this in there. Oh wait, this one. Miss Heather, will you hand me the glue? She's so helpful. Sometimes I forget things. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now I'm gonna glue this last one in before I put the pieces together. You always wanna make sure to get it all the way around the edge. And when you're gluing, always put your glue on the smaller piece. I wouldn't put it directly on here. I put it on the smaller piece. And now I'm gonna glue this piece on, and then I will have all of these pieces done. I can't put the top and bottom on until I close the box. Well, this one's not dry yet, so it will work better when it's dry. I'm closing the box. Let's see, I've got, grab mine. I'm gonna use a hot glue gun. You can use tape for this, but I have my handy dandy hot glue gun, so I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna put the line right here to hold it. Come on, glue gun. So these pieces need to dry, and then they will stick. I've got a clip in my pocket here to hold this together. There we go. Awesome. Sometimes it takes a little bit more glue. Let this hot glue go, set up. All right. So now you can see that I have my diorama is coming right along. I'm gonna glue this top part. also use tape, but I've got my glue gun out, so I'm using it. Just holding it for a second so it'll glue. And then I have one more piece. The other side of my top here. So I'm gonna put that on. And this is starting to look like an awesome outer space diorama. Remember, if you've got something going on in school right now, you can totally use this for that, okay? Dioramas are great visual aids for all sorts of stuff. I always love the ones, I'm here in Texas, where you had to do the Native Americans from Texas. And a diorama, I always thought that was so much fun. Our original Texans, before there was Texas. So, I'm just gonna have to set up just a little bit. So, let's see. I'm gonna hold this down and I will come right back to you, okay? Okay, so we had to edit this little part because I mismeasured the paper, which does not surprise anyone who knows me because I am not good with any sort of number. And I thought that these side pieces were gonna be the size of the bottom. And so I had pieces made, but it's not. So we had to go cut some more. And I had to spatter a sky for the very top. So let's see, this is actually the top. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue this piece in so you can see it. I'm just putting some hot glue in here. I did the rest of this, I did with just white Elmer's glue. But since this is about to be turned over, I don't want my paper to fall out. I don't want the sky to come falling down. So I'm using hot glue. All right. My nice CC Creations box. Push that piece in. Okay, so now all I have is the bottom, and I'm just using just this plain black because I'm gonna add all sorts of stuff to the bottom of this. All right, so there you go. I have put together my diorama box. Now, this might not have been like the most fun segment, but it's a good one. You got to learn how to spatter. You learned how to hopefully measure your paper properly before you cut it. Measure twice, cut once. And about mixing paints. So we always want to put the dark color into the light color, all right? Tomorrow we are going to create planets and rocks and different types of landscaping that's going to go on our planet ground, because I'm going to have this as if we've landed somewhere, all right, and we're on some sort of foreign crazy place in space, because that's fun. All right, so join me tomorrow, and remember, if you like what you see, as always, you can send me a Venmo tip and I will appreciate it. So go forth, be creative, and be kind.